Good afternoon again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit this evening about one of the three main causes of malocclusion. And this is my own thinking now, and this is inadequate nursing time, or the child is not held up and close and nursing enough, and laying the child in the bed with a bottle or something, it's just no way to replace actual nursing of the child being held close and with the mother. And we're trying to come up with some substitute that will help develop that child. Now, let's just take some of the problems that develop from inadequate nursing time, and the child tends to, where they're nursing frequently, the child begins to breathe through the mouth if he's not nursing, and nursing makes the maxilla develop properly and the airway develop properly, but these things that we suck on do not do the same thing. So they cause mouth breathing. Now, if you breathe through your mouth, let's run it out and see what real problems come from mouth breathing. Now, if you say you're breathing through your mouth, you have to breathe or suck the air, or the air comes over your tongue. And so your tongue stays in the bottom arch and nothing is up in the upper arch to make it develop out. And you think the tongue won't move things, but it moves them all over the place. And so the lower arch widens out and the upper arch doesn't get the pressure to go out. So they come in and they hit cusp to cusp, and that's not good. So they shift their jaw to one side or the other and go into a unilateral or bilateral crossbite. Now, if they do that, that shifts the jaw, especially if they just do a unilateral crossbite. It shifts over to one side and changes the condyles up here. And so you can have problems with condyles, but if they get along pretty good with that. But if they do that till they're 13 or 14 years old, then the jaw is permanently like that. Now there's a whole nother string of things that come about not nursing. The kid will start tongue thrusting. It's easy if you're breathing through the mouth to just tongue thrust. And if you're a tongue thruster, you're swallowing improperly. You don't bite your teeth together. So you kind of put the tongue up like this, and you can see. You don't have to look at a child in their mouth to tell their tongue thrusting. Their lips tell you. There's no action of the lips in a normal swallow. After you get older up, you get the normal swallow where you will bite the teeth together, and there's actually no motion of the lips at all. But while a child is young and nursing, they're swallowing in an infantile way. They do not bite their teeth together, and I guess the Lord made that way to help the mother. So they bite this way. Now, as they get older, they will start, well, I don't say older, they may be, there are records of kids sucking their thumbs and things before they're born, you know. So this is just something natural they want to do. But if the child has a choice of a finger or a thumb and the mother, it would probably take the mother any time. But let's continue to run this on out. Now, say the child's they're not spreading out the maxilla. And if you see that, you need to go in immediately or just as soon as you can and spread this out so that this increases the airway. Now, if there are other airway problems in there, get the child to an ENT person and see. There may be enlarged turbinates or deviated septum or some other reasons, or polyps, or just something that's having allergies. Bad allergies is one of the worst things. You can't seem to get the thing that takes care of the allergen. No, stops up, and they have a problem there. Now, that's been proven many times. As Dr. Harville in San Francisco, I think, is where he carried out this operation, where he took a whole bunch of rhesus monkeys that normally develop no malocclusion at all, anything, and he stopped up their noses so they could not breathe through the nose. And then watch these rhesus monkeys. Every one of them developed a malocclusion. It's different. It wasn't the same way with each one. Some of them did one way and another way. And that's kind of like human beings when you get their nose plugged up, whether it's from allergies or whether it's actually inadequate airway. They develop in different ways. So it's very important that you correct the airway on a child just as soon as you find out if that's what his problem is. Now, I had a young man who couldn't breathe through his nose, so he was breathing through his mouth, and his mother was taking him to a lung specialist to work on him. And he was they were doing some good with that, but we took him and spread his palate out and gave him adequate airway space, and now he starts to breathe through the nose. And if he's breathing through the nose, it's doing several things, and we've always listed those things. It filters out the great deal of the bacteria and other things that junk gets into the nose. I've worked in really dusty places and blow your nose and you just have a bunch of junk there that you hate to think of it being down in your lungs. Now, if you breathe through your mouth, you're going to suck in the air and it's not going to get filtered properly. If you have to exercise and run and breathe through your mouth, you suck in a lot of stuff sometimes like that. All right, when we breathe through the nose, it humidifies the air, and it filters it and humidifies it, and it creates a pressure in the lungs where the air is sent out into all the little alveoli of the lungs. And there's a lot of these things that we normally think of this, but lack of airway gets a lot of the other things started. Now, if you're breathing through the mouth, you can continue swallowing them properly. A kid sucking his thumb or something like that, they don't bite themselves, so they continue to use this infantile swallow pattern, and you bite, and you see the lips pucker up here for doing that bite, but you do not bite the teeth together. Now the teeth come into the mouth, and what gives you this vertical dimension of your mouth here is how much the teeth run together. Now the teeth drift into one another, and if you're keeping your mouth apart, most of the time, your teeth will over-erupt toward one another. And if they over-erupt a couple millimeters back in the back, that'll mean about 4 or 5 millimeters in the front. So you develop these high-angle cases by tongue thrusting and mouth breathing, and much of this stuff originates in inadequate nursing time for children. Now, I realize this is virtually impossible for us to do, but do the best you can with your child if that's what's causing the problem. Now, if it's allergies, that's one of the hardest things to deal with. Uh, I had one of my assistants, a very good assistant, that could not breathe properly. And she tried everything in the book, but finally she had to go into an ENT man, and he reduced the turbinates and did some other things in there that opened up the airway, and now she can sleep and breathe through her nose. Now, a lot of this is just originated from inadequate breathing. It's starting off in life like that. So I wanted to just talk about these things that cause malocclusion, and one of them is that we don't start off right, and then we cannot leave these things alone until you're 12 or 13 or something like that, or 14. The things get wrong and you develop long faces. These are very difficult to repair and fix up as normal. So I'm suggesting, as much as the mothers can, try to nurse that child if you possibly can. I realize that's not, and then watch them. If something comes up like this, you should take them in. If the dentist can't get the airway opened, then send them to an ENT guy and have him do whatever's necessary. And then the worst one is allergies. You got to stay out of that. So I'm going to say good afternoon, and hope that this will help people find out what actually causes a lot of this stuff. And if you don't get at that, it's almost essential to have some hard dealing stuff at the end that's hard to deal with. So thank you for watching.